All right, let's get this started. I've had the option stars page in our website up for a moment. Great opportunity to learn about options. This event is going to be hosted by Larry McMillan and Sarah Potter. The date is October 3rd through October 5th, so mark your calendars. There is an early bird special that I didn't point out the first time that I talked about option stars, so you do get a $100 discount towards the registration fee, so keep that in mind. It's only valid until August 16th, so make sure that you save your spot right now if you really want to attend this event. All right, let's see. I also talked about the masterclass. Remember that the masterclass is an in-person, 1 full week of training on TradeStation, strategy trading, and easy language. We have 2 masterclasses, one here in Plantation, Florida, and we're going to do another one in the city of London, England. If you're interested, click on the links that Nico is going to be sending right there in the chat, and it will provide you a little bit more information about them. All right. So let's get started. Keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about here today is for demonstration purposes only. It is not a recommendation of TradeStation, and also that active trading is not suitable for everyone. It should only be done with risk capital. If you'd like to read more about these disclosures, they're all available on the TradeStation website, or you can click on the link that Nico is sending there about our disclosures as well. Let me pull up my TradeStation. I know that some of you have already submitted your questions. I appreciate that. And we're going to get the class started right now. Let's start from the very beginning. Brian was the first one to submit his question, so let's take his first. His question is, can we control colors of bars in the orders pane? Orange should be open, orders gray should be canceled. Brian, yes, you can, and let me show you how to do that. What Brian is talking about is the color coding that we do here in the Trade Manager. When you look at the Orders tab, this is the way that we do it by default. You know, every time you get filled, you see a blue row. Canceled are yellow, and open orders are gray. Brian wants to change those colors, and yes, you can, depending on what you think the color should mean. So let's go here to the Settings button at the top of the Trade Manager and go to the Window menu. In the Window menu, you have a Color tab right here on the left-hand side, and you can change the color of everything related to the Trade Manager. For example, it says that Brian wants to open orders to be orange. So let's say, for example, I go here to, let's see, that would be, let me go put my glasses on. I think it'll work better. Okay, there we go. You're interested in doing, let's see if I find them because of open positions. No, that's not it. Queued orders, rejected orders, partially filled orders. Here we go, received orders. So received orders, you can see how the background is gray, the foreground is white. If you want the background to be orange, I can set it to maybe this color right here. That's for the received orders. And if you want that to be the default, just remember to set it as default over here. Otherwise, when you open up the Trade Manager, it'll be back to the default. And that's probably not what you want. So I'm not going to set mine to default because I gotten used to the way that TradeStation colors them. So received orders are going to be orange, and you want gray to be canceled orders. So I'm going to go here to canceled orders. And instead of using that orange, I'll say use gray. Click OK. And you can see that it inverts the color. So the ones that are currently active are orange, and the ones that are canceled are gray on this version of the TradeStation Trade Manager. Okay, so hopefully that answers the question. Okay, a question from Gary. Gary, he wants to set up a scan for the cup with handle pattern that is one of the indicators. I want to be able to toggle between weekly and daily. How do I do that? Gary, you know, I was Since you submitted the question early on, I was looking for that indicator and I couldn't find it. We do have several, candlestick formations that you can scan through, but I didn't see cup with handle pattern in the list of studies. Are you sure this is one that TradeStation provides, or maybe did you get this from a third party? Or I didn't see cup with handle pattern in my list of studies. Give me a little bit more detail, and I'll try to work with you on that scan. Let's see. Hitesh is asking, can you link your strategy to radar screen, or can you semi-automate so that your strategy only gives you the signal but does not execute? It's a two-part question. I'll try to answer it. Radar screen does not give you the ability to insert strategies. So if I go here to my radar screen, let me pull it up here. And if I go to studies, you can see that there's no add strategy as you find in chart analysis, because strategies are designed to run on a chart, not on radar screen. So to answer the first part of the question, can you put a strategy onto radar screen? The answer is no. Now, the second part of the question, can you semi-automate so that the strategy only gives you a signal but does not execute? Most certainly. Let me go to my chart here. Let me put in a strategy. I'm going to go here to the studies. I'm going to click on add strategy. And let me add the moving average two-line cross LE and short LEs. SE. LE and SE, by the way, for those that are not familiar with strategy components, just tells you what the component is going to do. LE is a long entry, so it only generates long entries, and SE is a short entry. So if I put them both on the chart, what it'll do is like these will reverse each other. If there's a long entry generated, you'll be long for a period of time, until the short entry gets triggered, and it'll reverse your position and take you short. So it's a back and forth between long and short. You're always in the market, which is not ideal, but you can test a strategy like this. I'm putting those two components into my chart, and I click OK. Let me click OK, and they go right here on the screen. So historically, I see, the buys and the sells. Okay. What I'm going to do now is show you how to automate the strategy. Let me double click or format strategies. I can double click on the arrows, which is something that I do all the time. That's just a shortcut. If you double click on the arrow, it takes you to customize studies and strategies. Of course, you can come up here and go to studies and then go to edit strategies. It takes you to the exact same place. I've just gotten used to, the double clicking on the arrows, and it takes you to the exact same place. So I have the two strategies in here. I'm going to automate the execution. Right here at the bottom, you have an automation checkbox that says generate strategy orders for display in the Trade Manager's strategy orders tab. But there's a multi-step enabling that needs to happen in order for the strategy to take decisions on its own. The very first checkbox that I checked is just for display. This is not even thinking about executing the order. This is just for you to connect your strategy to the Trade Manager. That's it. So that you can go to the Trade Manager. The Trade Manager has some tabs at the bottom, and a couple of those tabs are strategy orders. So what this checkbox does is that it sends information from the strategy over to the Trade Manager so that you can keep track of what's happening to the strategy, but no execution whatsoever. Take a look over here. There's a second checkbox that says automate execution. Now we're getting into the execution part. As soon as you put a check there, you get the disclosure that says, are you sure you want to do this? This is technically going to send orders for execution. So you do have to agree to that if you want to turn on execution, but it's not yet fully automated. When you turn on that second checkbox, yes, this is going to be sending orders to your account. In this case, it's just a simulated account. It could be a live account if you want to, but it says account with confirmations on. So even by checking the second checkbox, you're still not fully automated. So in this step, what the strategy does, it's going to trigger an order, but it's going to require your confirmation. You're going to get a pop-up message saying, hey, this strategy is about to submit this order. Are you sure you want to do this? That is with confirmation on. So it's not until you come here and you select off for confirmations that it is fully automated. Of course, if you select off here, you get another disclosure saying, hey, this is not going to wait for your interaction. As soon as the strategy sees that it wants to buy or sell, it'll go directly to the exchange. If you agree, that is fully automated. So in order for the strategy to execute orders by itself, you do have to go through all these 3 different check boxes until it actually does that. So do not be afraid of automating a strategy or using the first 2 check boxes, but because it'll always wait for your confirmation before a strategy sends an order to the market for execution. All right. So hopefully that helps. That is to answer questions for Hitesh. Let's take a look at another question here. Anis Ahmed. Hello, Jesus. How to set up? Let me see if I see any feedback from Gary. Okay. Okay. Okay, Gary. You're saying that it's there. I couldn't find it. You know, if I look over here, let me show you where I'm looking. Maybe we're looking in different places. There is an indicator called cup and handle. Somebody else commented there. So let me go to here to add study. If it's in the indicator section, you know, I do have a cup and handle. That is so funny. You know, I checked and double checked the list of studies, and now this is the first time that I see it. Somebody must have put it there before. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so thank you, Gary, for your patience. I just went there and I didn't see it. Okay, so we have a cup with handle pattern. I'm not very familiar with the study. I'm not sure if everybody here in class is, but if you're not very familiar with what the study is, I'm pretty sure it's just identifying a cup with handle pattern in the chart using candlesticks. So let me go to the definition just to make sure. I'm going to go here to definition, and this is true for every study. So if you come across a study that you're not really familiar with, click it to highlight it and click on definition. Let's take a look. All right. So this is the pattern. Okay, a cup with handle. Exactly what it says right there in what it's visible right here in the picture, the screenshot. So it's just a bar formation that pretty much creates what it looks like a cup and handle. All right, so let's see. This is just to change the strength of the cup and the handle. ATR length, max bars between pivot highs. So these are all parameters that you use to adjust the calculation of the study. I'm just going to leave them the way they are. Let me put it on the chart and see if we can see the formation in real action. So I'm going to add it. I'm going to click OK. Let me remove some of the things here that I have on the chart. I'm going to remove the strategy, and I'm going to remove my indicator. All right, so here we have one for Apple. Historically, let me open this up a little bit and let me scroll back. All right. Here we have the cup and handle generated for Apple back in February of 2018. So I believe what Gary's asking to do is, I want to be able to toggle weekly and daily. How do I do that? So you want to set up a scan so that it looks for this formation in real time is what I mean, is what I think you're looking for. You want a weekly or a daily, but you want, I believe you're looking for stocks that are displaying this pattern on a current bar. So you can look at the formation and take some action from there. Let me go back to the definition of this candle, because first of all, I want to know if this is generating an alert. So let's see, because in order for you to identify the pattern, it needs to trigger an alert. So I'm going to go here to studies. I'm going to right click on one of the lines of the cup and handle, and I'm going to go to edit easy language for a cup and handle pattern. So I want to see if it first has alert criteria, because that's the only way that you're probably going to find these formations on the screen. Let's see. This is the easy language code. This is what controls the calculation. Let me do control find, and I'm going to look for alert. Find next. All right, so we have some alert criteria here. Profit zone hit. Maybe the alert is not necessarily when the formation is created, but whenever one of its lines or target zone is hit. Let's see, we have an alert word there. If the close is greater than the trend line value, then alert. Okay, so let's go ahead and do something. Let's go ahead and turn it on and see if we can make it happen. What we're wanting to do is we're going to look for stocks that are giving you this formation. Let's go over here to my TradeStation. And Nico, let me know if Gary provides more information and in regards to this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to my radar screen. Let me click on the plus here to insert the cup and handle. That's probably why I didn't find it. It's not a radar screen indicator.
Yeah, they're saying that the scans for the cup and handle do not work.
The scans for the cup and handle don't work.
They say the scanner. I don't know if we need radar screen or that.
All right, let's look at the scanner and see if we can make it work in the scanner. Let me open up the apps and click on scanner. I lost my scanner right here. Okay, let's set up something really quick. I want to customize this scan that I have here. Let me go to the scan criteria. Let me disable the RSI, the earnings. I want to do that only. And I'm going to add a study here, an indicator. Let's look for the cup and handle. Here it is. I want to click OK. And for the cup and handle, I'm looking for the alert to be true. All right, let's open up the study. This is using input name value. These are all the settings. Wow, there's a lot of parameters for that cup and handle indicator. But I'm looking for the interval right here, which is set to daily. That's what I wanted. And let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. I'm going to run it. Okay, we have, it's doing the scan on 599 symbols. And let's see how long this takes. I'm going to see if while that runs, I'm going to see if I can take some of their questions. From Anis. Hello, Jesus. How to set up a buy to cover order for profit and a buy stop order and keep both open using the matrix ladder, or should we use only OSO or OCO in the trade bar? Yeah, we can do it in the matrix, Anis. Let me show you that. And while this is running, I'm going to leave it here, Gary, or anybody that's looking at the cup and handle presentation. I'm going to come here to the matrix and show you how to do. And what you mean by buy to cover is because you have a short position. So you didn't provide a symbol, so I'm going to use any symbol. It works for any symbol. Let me do AT&T. So AT&T is trading at $34. Let's suppose you want to do a hold trade. Let's see how to set up a buy to cover order for profit or buy to stop order and keep both open using the matrix. It depends. If you already have a short position and you're buying to cover your exits later, then you have to use OCO right here at the bottom. But if you're doing all together, you have to do it with attach OSO. Let me show you both, and that way you can choose which one you think it's better. Let's suppose that you don't have a position. I don't have a position here. It's just 0 for AT&T. I'm going to do 1,000 shares, but I'm going to use the attach OSO so that I can do my exits. I'm going to use an exit bracket with one limit, one stop. Okay. My limit doesn't matter. Let's say that we want 10 cents above and 10 cents below. What you're looking for is the buy to cover. Look at the action here. The action is opposite of primary. So you don't really have to specify buy to cover because the template itself will choose the opposite of the position that you are establishing. So if you're trading long, the opposite will be to sell. If you're trading short, the opposite would be to buy to cover. So it automatically takes care of the option or the action for you. So I'm going to leave them like is. I'm going to click OK. And what I do is come over here to the short side, which is the red column. You're selling, and you take a look. As soon as I put my cursor on a red cell, notice on the left-hand side it says short 1,000 limit. It knows that I'm shorting. So as soon as I click on any of these prices, something happened. Rejected. Oh, boxed positions are not permitted. There are existing orders to buy. Okay, that's because I have positions open. Let me cancel all my orders, and let me put it in again. I put it in, and there we go. We have our sell short, and then we have our buy to cover right here on the negative side, and we have our buy to cover on the positive side on a short trade. Okay, it automatically takes care of that for you. I think the matrix is the simplest way to put in that trade. Now, let's suppose that, let me cancel all my orders. Let's suppose that I'm already in a short position. So I'm going to short at market. Okay, I have negative 1,000 is my position. If you want to do it without, I mean, after having a position open, just come over here and uncheck the attach OSO, and we're going to do it here with the OCO. So we come over here to the drop down. We select the simple bracket, same, one target, one stop. That's the exit bracket, one limit, one stop. If you go into the settings by clicking here in ellipsis, you're going to see that, again, the action is opposite of position. So we're short. It knows that it has to buy to cover. And you have the distance, 10 cents above and 10 cents below. I click OK, and all I need to do is click on this place OCO order and take a look. That's my buy stop, and that's my buy limit right here, buy to cover, because it's exiting my short position. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, Anis. Let's see if we go back to our scan. No symbols met the selected criteria. So in this particular case, Gary, I'd have to look into the indicator itself. You know, it does need a little bit more research and investigation. I have to look into the settings, what the indicator is capable of doing. If we can, you know, indeed do a scan on the actual indicators, those are things that I need to follow up with the person that created the indicator, and if we can do it in a scanner setting like this. Let me do one more try. I'm going to click on customize this, and I'm going to open up my cup and handle. And instead of using daily, I'm going to use weekly data this time. So I'm going to go to weekly and click on run. So this is, again, running on the 599 symbols, and I'm going to let it sit there for a moment. If you see any information from Gary or anybody else in the chat, Nico, let me know, please, okay? Okay. All right.
I don't think they have more details than that.
Yeah. In fact, Gary, if you can, please send me an email, learning@tradestation.com, so that I can do some investigations on why this symbol is not, you know, providing any results when you do the scan. It's interesting. You know, I'm not sure if it's set up for this purpose, because that could be it. You know, maybe it's an indicator that was created specifically for charting and is not able to do or is not able to be used in a scanner setting. So that could be the answer for this, but I'll do a little bit more research on that. Okay. This is a question from STKHNDS. Is there a way to see what my closed PL is for the day with detail of each symbol's P&L? I've looked and cannot seem to find using the balances, positions, orders workspace. Thanks. Yes, there is a place where you can look at not only closed P&L, but also real-time P&L per symbol. Well, the real-time P&L, you know for a fact that you can find that information in the Trade Manager when you go to the Positions tab. But let me go back here to the Trade Manager again, and let me show you balances. And in the Balances tab, I'm going to select a specific account here. Let me go to my equities. And towards the bottom of my balances, you're going to find something that says real-time unrealized P&L and real-time realized P&L. My realized is the closed one. So let me open that up because there's no symbols here. See how it's at 0? But in my unrealized, let me open that up. And you can see that I have AT&T, I have Twitter, Bank of America, and Cisco. Let me close all these positions and see how they transfer from the unrealized to the realized. I'm going to come over here, and that's not what I wanted to do. Let me run one macro in TradeStation, which is Control F12. Control F12, by the way, for those that are not familiar with macro functionality, TradeStation has a built-in macro that is assigned to Control F12. Control F12 is a macro that says closes all positions macro. Sometimes if I have some running positions in my simulator and I want a quick out, I just do Control F12. I click on yes, and you can see that it wipes out all my positions from my account. Now, this is what I call a panic button, because it also works in your live account. So be careful in using macros. At least it's Control F12, because it closes all your positions. There's a one extra step that you have to do, so don't be afraid of it, because by default, macros are locked on TradeStation. And if you try to use a macro at the beginning, it'll probably tell you that, hey, you cannot do this, they're locked. But I've unlocked mine, so Control F12 closes all my positions. But I wanted to show you here at the bottom now that now my unrealized, it says 0, and now my realized P&L, my closed for today, it gives me a breakdown of the P&L of every single symbol. Even if you've gone in and out multiple times on the same symbol, it gives you the cumulative P&L for each one of these symbols, which I find very useful sometimes. Okay. All right. A question from Camilo. Jesus, is there a way to have a function where you could paper trade with historical data, like access at any timer or anytime? Camilo, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about data replay. Not only the ability for you to go into history and look at historical data, but you want the chart to update in historical data as if it was real time. That is a functionality that we don't have at the present time. I know that a lot of users have requested this, so it's not available at the moment. By the way, if you want to add your suggestion, your personal suggestion, if you haven't suggested this before and you want to suggest this to our product managers and developers, do something. Go here to the platform, go to apps, and you see this orange exclamation at the top. It says feedback. Just click feedback, and this will open up an application where you can send feedback directly to our developers and engineers. So give your feedback, submit it, and they'll receive it. The more requests we get on the availability of having replay data, the more they'll prioritize this feature for newer versions of TradeStation. So keep that in mind. All right, let's take a look. Camilo, and if you're actually, talking about historical data, the historical data is all there. But I think the way that you asked the question, I interpreted it in a way that it was actual data replay. We don't have that. We do have, a ton of historical data that you can load on a chart and do all sorts of historical backtest. So let's go to the next question from Johnny. I would like to scan for cup and handle also, as Gary asks. Yes, I'm going to have to look into that and see what we can find out about the cup and handle. So that's pending. And Johnny, if you want to be included in that email, just send me an email to learning@TradeStation, and I'll find out. Question from STKHNDS. Jesus, there's an indicator called, okay, perfect. Anis is asking, how can you backtest a strategy in TradeStation? Does TradeStation have the capability to replay historical chart data? And if yes, how long data? So the replay is not available. We talked about that already. And the backtest strategy is very simple to do. You just need to put a strategy in a chart, and it does the backtest automatically for you. I think we did that with this chart. I removed the strategy from the chart, so I'll add it again. Add strategy. TradeStation has all these strategy components. Let's suppose that I do a momentum strategy. I'm just going to put them both in the chart. As soon as you put the strategies on the chart, you can see the red and the blue arrows. Those are my entry signals, and it goes historically. So this is a chart on Apple daily chart, and it goes back a couple years. A couple years of historical data, and you can see every time that the strategy would have opened a position. So once you have the strategy and the chart, just go to the data button here at the top and go to the strategy performance report. This is how you find the performance evaluations of the strategy and if the strategy makes sense for this market or not. If I go to the strategy performance report, it'll calculate. And you can see that the momentum strategy for Apple in a 2-year period, it made about $4,600. But this is on Apple, only one symbol and a very specific time period. This is 2 years of data. It doesn't mean that the strategy will make the same amount of money going forward. So always do your historical back testing and do your diligence in finding out if something is robust by learning how to use all the back testing tools. So this is no indication of future results. All right, Francis is asking how to set up a scanner for gaps up or gaps down. Francis, if you're looking for gaps up or gaps down, my suggestion would be just to look at the hot lists. Hot list is something that pretty much gives you these filters very quickly, even before the market opens. So these are windows that are constantly calculating as soon as there's market activity in the pre-market and the post-market. I go to apps. I go to my hot list. Let me see if I find them here. Here it is, hot lists. All right, let me make the font bigger so it's easier to see on your side. I'll make the font 12. Okay, and over here at the top, I can select a filter. Let me collapse my volume lists, and I'm going to open up price lists. And here you have filters for gaps. You have gaps down and you have gaps up, based on a dollar amount, based on percentage, biggest dollar amount, biggest percentage. You have the closers. These are the stocks that are closing the gap. And we have the runners, the stocks that are running away from the gap. So we have different filters that you can just choose. Let's say that you want to do percentage-wise, gap down, percent. Let's do gap up, percentage. So here we have the first symbol has the biggest gap with a percentage change of 34%, MDR. The last price was $6.28. And if we look at a chart, let's take a look at a chart so that we can compare. All right. Let me arrange again, window, arrange all. I'm going to link the two windows together, change the time frame of this chart to daily, and let's take a look, MDR. And this is a daily chart, and take a look. That's what happened to MDR just today. Yesterday, it was trading above $10, and today it's trading at $6.26. This gives you the top 25 symbols that have gapped the most based on a percentage. And you can increase that to 50, 75, or 100 if you want to. So I think that's the best way for you to scan for gaps if you want to do it that way. All right, so let's see. Can you control the time? This is a question from Johnny. Can you control the time of day on automation? And I'm getting orders outside the stock exchange. Johnny, the way that you control a strategy during automation is to make sure that there's no candles during the time that you don't want the strategy to trade. Let me give you an example. Let me go here to the chart where I had the strategy. This is Apple. Let me open up a 5-minute chart. All right, this is a 5-minute chart of Apple. This is where my cursor is the first candle of the day. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at the date and the time. The date on that candle is 9:35, and the date is July 30th, which is today. So these is all the candles for today. The strategy runs on the candles. If there's no candles, there's no orders being generated. So if you're getting orders outside the regular session, is because you have probably pre and post market enabled. So over here, I can, if I turn on the pre and the post market, And I do that right here in time frame, sessions. Let me turn on US stock with pre and post market. So here, notice how I have the pre-market. If I go over here to the very beginning, look at the time. It's 8:05 in the morning. The market has not opened, and it's the same day, July 30th. And you can see that there's a trade right there in the pre-market session. So the only way that the strategy will generate a trade in the pre or the post market or outside regular session is if there's candles on the chart. So one solution would be to remove the pre and post market activity. I'm going to go to time frame, sessions, and just concentrate on the regular session. That way the strategy only runs in the regular session. Or you would have to go into the easy language of the strategy and say, I only want the strategy to trade from this time to this time. That's another option. That is a little bit more difficult because it requires you to go into the easy language and put in the criteria in there. All right. So hopefully that clarifies that question. All right. This is the question from Camilo. Am I really behind or?
You're a bit behind.
Okay. All right. Let's see. From Camilo. Go to radar screen and look at the hot list. It lets you see. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Camilo, for pointing that out. The scan does not work. Yes, the scan in the scanner for cup and handle does not work. Thank you, Johnny. Yes, I'm going to look into that and see. Yes. All right. All right. Perfect. Is there a way, okay, from Johnny, is there a way to make sure it only works during the time the stock exchange is open? Yes, we already clarified that. Please look at the log. There are error messages when I do it. All right, we'll take a look at that. I'm pretty sure those are comments in regards to the cup and handle. Hi, okay, thanks. All right. Okay, so Anis is giving me a little bit more information. In the matrix trading, if I don't like to predefine the distance from current price for limit and stop in OCO, OSO, can I make 2 clicks on ladder to set up these orders as price unfolds? To answer the question directly, Anis, no, it will not allow you to do 2 separate clicks because they have to be connected from the very beginning. If you try to do 2 separate clicks, it'll assume that there's 2 separate orders, and it will tell you you cannot sell something twice, because if you do them separately, it thinks that you have 2 selling transactions that are unrelated. So no, you cannot do 2 clicks. What I recommend you do is to submit the orders and then click and drag to change them to the location you want. I know it's not the most effective way to trade, but if you want a quick way to adjust those selling transactions without having to specify the distance, you start off with a certain distance and then you click and drag that order to adjust it. But from the very get-go, those 2 orders need to be connected into an OCO, and the 2 clicks don't allow you to do that. So one thing that you can do if you want to do it on the matrix, let me show you, because this is something that I showed in my previous Ask the TradeStation Experts. If you're trading, let's say Apple, let me turn on chart trading, because chart trading does give you a visual of the OCO before it gets sent to the market. Let me go to chart trading. Okay, and I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to buy 100 shares. So let me go here, change the quantity to 100. I'm going to buy at market. Okay, so I have 100 shares. Let me open this up so you can see it better. I have 100 shares of Apple right here. Let's suppose that I want to set an OCO with a target and a stop. I come over here at the bottom. There's a checkbox that says preview OCO exit orders. If I put a check there, when I submit an OCO, I'll see a preview before I send the orders in. Let me show you how that works. Here in the OCOs, I'm going to select the OCO bracket. Notice how the button turns into a preview OCO order. I click it, and I see the lines right here on my chart. They are not real orders yet, but this allows me to click on the orders, drag them, to the price that I want the order to be set to. So this target, I want to set it to maybe, let me bring my screen a little bit in. Okay, there we go. Okay, I want to set my target to maybe 208.80. There. Once you have your targets and stops, then you just click on the place OCO order button and the orders goes through. So that's sort of a preview before the orders get sent, and it does give you the functionality to click and drag before they go to the market. The Matrix doesn't have this feature. It doesn't have preview. Matrix, you would have to send the orders and then click and drag the orders to adjust. Okay. Where am I? I lost my place here. Anise. Okay. Another question from Anise. I had earlier displayed the trading app, position graph, to increase space. Now I have to put them back, but don't see the feedback option anymore. I'm going to go to the trading app launcher. If you're going, Anise, if you're going to the trading app launcher and you don't, you go to the trading app launcher and you see this, the feedback button is up here. I'm not sure why it would not show up anymore. Make sure that you're looking at the apps. If you lost the trading apps launcher, they're going to be available in the view menu. So view, and you find trading app launcher right in there. Maybe go to file and go to new application. No, the feedback application is not there. Yeah, the feedback button should be there. If you saw it there before and you don't see it anymore, I'm not sure what happened. For a lot of these technical issues, you may have to contact technical support for troubleshooting. And a lot of times you're using TradeStation and you're getting error messages and you want to fix something. The best way to approach those is by getting somebody on the phone and trying to troubleshoot. Okay. Camilo is asking, I would like to set up a scan for stocks with 3 times relative volume for the day. 3 times relative volume. We can use volume average, I suppose. A way to narrow stocks that will move in the day based on volume. We can use different volume indicators for that. We just have to be able to define, Camilo, what you mean by 3 times relative volume. We have a built-in indicator in TradeStation called the volume average, which takes, an average of historical periods, and then there is an alert already built into that indicator so that if the current volume exceeds that average by a certain percentage, then you get alerted. Maybe that's something that you want to use. If I go here to the scanner, well, I don't have the scanner open anymore, so let me close some of the windows here. Let me go to apps and open up the scanner.
Stocks at 3 times the value that they usually trade at.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. Thank you, Nico. So I'm going to come here to one of these scans that I was customizing for the cup and handle. Let me uncheck the cup and handle. And what I'll do is I'll just use a volume average indicator. So I'll go here to indicators. And let's see. Volume average is going to be all the way at the bottom. Volume AVG, it's called. That's what the study is called. Volume AVG. I click OK. Let me do, you can do an intraday or you can do, okay, one of the things that this will do, I'm not sure, you didn't specify, it's for the day, so it's a daily time frame. The thing about, the scanner on a daily interval is that it won't be real time. It'll be as of the trading day the trading session yesterday or the previous trading session. Let me demonstrate. Let's go here to my volume. I'm going to set the interval to daily. It's already set to daily. I want, see the length of the average is 50. The alert percent is 50. So volume is if it exceeds the average by 50%. If you want 3 times the average, you just have to take that into account. 100 would be 1 time or double the volume. If you do 200, that would be 3 times the volume, wouldn't it? Yeah, because 50% above, it's half. 100% is double, and 200 would be 3 times the average. Let's take a look. Let me run this. An operator must provide. Okay, I want the alert to be true, because that's when it triggers the alert, whenever it meets the criteria. So let me run this. And while that runs, I'm going to be looking at other questions here. So, okay. Also, Jesus, when I save a desktop and then try to open it, it opens, but for every workspace will tell me workspace doesn't exist. You know, Camilo, that could be because the workspace don't really exist. You know, you have to look into the list of workspaces and see what is there, because the desktop may be opening a file that really does not exist anymore. If you continue having difficulties with the platform, I would get somebody from tech support to help you out. Maybe when you're what's that again? I'm sorry?
You didn't upgrade the 9.5 stuff, maybe?
Maybe if you upgraded from 9.5 and upgraded to 10, and I mean those workspaces, maybe it doesn't, maybe it didn't transfer the workspaces. So there's a lot of possibilities in that problem that you are mentioning. So tech support would be the best option for you. Could I have all the New York Stock Exchange stocks in the radar screen? Probably. No, probably not. The reason for that is because radar screen has a limitation to the number of symbols that it can hold. There's a maximum of 2,000 symbols, and I believe there's more than 2,000 symbols in the New York Stock Exchange. So can you hold them all in the radar screen? You cannot. What I recommend is that you use the scanner or some other type of filtering so that you narrow down the list of New York Stock Exchange stocks to something more manageable. Okay, so take a look. I'm not sure, was it Anise who was asking about the volume average?
No, it was Camilo.
Camilo. So here we have the results from the scanner. Notice that there's only one symbol that triggers the alert, because I want to show you something that is true on the scanners, on the scans that you run in the scanner. Let me put the same study right here on this chart. I'm going to go to studies. I'm going to add the volume average study. Okay, there it is. So let's link the two windows together. And I'm going to be looking at EWL. All right, so this is what happens. Do you see the big spike right there? The big spike meets the criteria, right? That's over 200% typical volume, which is the yellow line. That's the average. But we found it one day later. You see, the current bar is not where the volume is occurring, it's actually occurring on the previous bar. That is a limitation of the scanner. When you do a scan on historical data and you're doing it on a daily bar, it's looking at completed daily bars. It's not looking at the current bar because it's not a full day yet. So when you do a scan, it's going to find stocks that are meeting the criteria as of the day before. Does that help? Maybe not. So if you're looking for a scan on this same indicator real time, you have to do it in radar screen. Radar screen is the option for you, and that is a real-time scanner, but it won't do all the stocks in the symbol universe like the scanner does. One of the benefits of the scanner is they can do a scan on 8,000 symbols, and the scanner is able to bring the symbols that are meeting the criteria. In radar screen, you have to start off with a selected number of symbols, up to 2,000, no more than 2,000. And when you start using historical data, that limitation comes down to 1,000. So you're only limited in this case for the volume average to 1,000 symbols only. So we do have to work, you know, with the tools in combination. Maybe use a scanner to narrow the list of symbols and then put the symbols in in radar screen if you want to trade them when that criteria is met. Okay. Let's see. This is from Johnny. Automated trading. I'm getting a lot of rejected orders. Is there a way to find out why? What in general causes an order to get rejected? If it's a, Johnny, if it's a real order or a live order, or even if it's a simulated order that gets rejected, come here to the Trade Manager window. In the Trade Manager window, there is a Messages tab. Messages tab usually tells you why an order got rejected. Let me see. I did have a rejected order earlier. Where's my rejected order? It was in this class, right? All right. So here you have all the communication between your order entry and what's happening to the, not only the, here it is. Here's the rejected order. It tells you what order it was and the reason. Right here, the reason says boxed positions are not permitted. You have to open up the Messages tab to see the whole message, though. Boxed positions are not permitted. There are existing orders to buy. So if you're looking for more details as to why an order is rejected or not, come here to the Trade Manager Messages tab. All right. Johnny, is there a way to use Portfolio Maestro for automated trading? That is something that is not yet possible with Portfolio Maestro. Portfolio Maestro is a backtesting tool. It allows you to apply a strategy to a portfolio of symbols, and you can measure the performance of the strategy on your symbol universe if you wanted to. But in order for you to automate a strategy, that is not possible in Portfolio Maestro at the moment. Okay. Perfect. A question from I am Amped. How can I change quantity of share to cash amount of how many shares I can buy on chart trading? I see the option on the matrix, but not chart trading. And you are absolutely correct. If I go over here to the chart trading application, the quantity has no way of switching it to a dollar amount. So that's something that hasn't been developed for chart trading yet. You find it in the trade bar, you find it in matrix, but yeah, chart trading doesn't have that. Sorry for that. Okay. Roadmap for a 64-bit software. At this moment, I don't have information on that. 64-bit version of TradeStation is something that we've talked about many times. I don't really have a lot of details about that. I know that TradeStation is working on a lot of other projects that are probably going to be better. You know, maybe a cloud solution, something that runs server side. There's so many different options that we are considering. And at this specific moment, I really don't have information on what is a roadmap for a 64-bit TradeStation software. Camilo is asking, so if I use intraday, it will tell me real-time data, right? Camilo, if you use real-time, if you use intraday in the scanner, remember, it'll use the most recent completed bar. So if you're doing 5-minute, for example, it'll use the most recent completed 5-minute bar. It will not use the current bar. The current bar is not still a 5-minute bar, so it will not use the current bar, so it's not really real time. But it'll still use, the 5-minute bar that happened 5 minutes ago, So always think about that when you're using the scanner. Vic, question from Vic. Can you explain what 50% of initial for day trading rate means when trading futures and CL crude oil? Well, Vic, as a futures trader, you are allowed to trade futures at 50% of what we require initial margin. So what you're saying is, let me pull up a browser here and I can tell you exactly what it means. So let me bring up TradeStation. Let me go here to pricing. I'm just going to access my futures details and go to futures margin requirements. So what Vic is referring to is that for crude oil, let's see if we find it here, currencies, metals, energies. Here's crude oil. The initial requirement is 4,015. Maintenance margins 3,600. So if you wanted to trade a contract of crude oil we require you to have $4,015 in your account. That is initial margin. But during the day, we provide you what's called a 50% of initial. So during the day, and I believe the hours are somewhere between 9 and 4, depending on the market that you're trading, we allow you to trade this at 50% of initial requirement. So during the day, you're able to trade this with only $2,000, which is 50% of the required margin. Now, in order for you to be enabled for this day trade rate, give the trade desk a call. I think we have the numbers for the trade desk, right, Nico? Put the numbers right there in the chat, because you need to contact the trade desk to make sure that your account is enabled for that 50% of initial. Okay. Johnny's asking, is there any live trading chat room or presentation a professional trader using the TradeStation real time? Yes, most certainly. Tomorrow, which is Wednesday, we're going to have Sarah Potter, and she trades options on TradeStation. So join her at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and she does live trading with TradeStation. It's a great class to join. We're also, promoting our Option Stars event, and Sarah is going to be doing a full day of live trading options in California. If you want to join her, and that's October 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. Or yes, October 3rd. The links are right there in the chat if you want to learn about Option Stars. And also, Nico, if you have a chance, send a link to Trading Options with Sarah Potter tomorrow, which is a live session where you join her and she trades options in a live environment. All right. For stocks, we don't have anything specific yet. We are working on different ideas at the moment, but for now, the only live trading session that we have is with Sarah Potter, and she's trading options. All right. Vic, trading futures, should I be worried about pattern day trading rules? No. Pattern day trading rules only apply to stocks. So futures is a totally different animal. No pattern day trading rules for futures. You do have to be worried about is if you're trading something with the day trade rate, that's only during the day. If you hold that position overnight, then the regular maintenance margin is required. So just keep that in mind. The day trade is only to trade during the day. That's something that you do have to worry about when you're trading futures. Okay, great. Anis, thank you very much. And thank you, Vic, as well. And thank you, everyone who participated in the class and submitted questions. Thank you for everyone that joined the class, because sometimes it's not about asking questions. It's also coming here and seeing how other traders are using the TradeStation platform, because this could trigger ideas on what indicators other people are using, how they're setting up their scans. So I think it's a great opportunity for anyone, either if you have questions, whether you have questions or not, to join Ask the Experts and just make it a conversation. We're going to repeat Ask the Experts again next Thursday at 12 p.m. So if you didn't get a chance to submit your question, you can do so next Thursday. I see a last-minute question here from David. I think he figured that I was closing the class, and let me see if I can squeeze another question in. A line drawn in one chart, say for support or resistance, it only shows in that chart and not in other time frame charts of the same stock. Any way around that? Yes, let me show you. That's one last question that I'm going to take here, and I know exactly what you're talking about. This is a chart of Apple. Let me go to a 60-minute chart. All right. That's a 60-minute chart of Apple. Let's suppose that I'm going to draw a line right here at the $200 mark. Drawing horizontal line, and I'm going to draw it right here at 200. Well, that's a 200, yes. All right. If you are having a hard time dropping a line at a specific price, just double-click on it, go to Data, and put in the value that you want the line to be set at. I'm going to put it at 200. Okay, there it is. If I go to a 5-minute chart, I don't see the line anymore. But it doesn't mean that it's not there. It just means that in this particular view, where I'm only seeing 3 days, I don't see the price of 200 here. But the line is still there. It's just not visible. because of the price scale. So if I click on the price scale and I start squeezing this, you're going to get the 200 mark eventually. Here it is. Here's the $200 line. The $200 line that I drew, now I'm able to see it because I squeezed the price scale on the right-hand side. If it is a trend line, you have to make sure that the date where the trend line appears, it's also included in the historical data, because sometimes, you draw a trend line on a daily chart and, the first anchor point is somewhere back in January. So when you go to a 5-minute chart, the 5-minute chart only goes back 5 days. So in order for you to see that trend line, you have to make sure that January is also included in the historical data of that 5-minute chart in order for you to see the trend line. So keep those two things in mind, and you'll see how the drawing tools will all remain there, okay? Okay, so David, you're talking about something different? Yes, you're absolutely correct. If you have different charts, the drawing tool that you draw is only exclusive to that chart that you drew it on. It doesn't show in any other chart, and that's the way that that's the way it was designed, and you won't see that same drawing tool somewhere else, only on the chart that you drew it. All right. How do you display volume as a bar chart on your chart? Francis, that's a question from Francis. You can, if you want to build volume bars, just go to the time frame here. You have some tick intervals right there. But if you really want volume, just go to customize. And I can build a volume chart right here by selecting volume and the number of shares or the number of contracts that I want in each one of these bars. Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to end the class right here. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone in my next Ask the Experts on Thursday at 12 noon. Also, join me in my Getting Started classes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And we are skipping next week. Thank you for pointing that out and reminding me. Next week, we are going to be in the master class. So we are not going to have any classes next week. From August 5th through the 9th, we're going to be delivering the master class. So no Getting Started, no Ask the Experts. We're going to skip a week, and we'll join you guys again the following week, the week of the 12th, August 12th. The classes should be already in the calendar, and you can start registering for those classes right now. But we are doing the Ask the Experts this Thursday, so looking forward to seeing you, everyone, there. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.